Hello. Welcome to episode 002 of Smooth Dev Saturday. It's an awesome week, yeah? And today, as I said last week, we'll be starting with the first in our series of topics on software development fundamentals. And to not waste much of your time, I'd like to get started. But before starting, please make sure you're subscribed to get notifications from me when I post new stuff on this channel. Yeah, so basically that's it. And then we are ready to get started. Okay. So last week we talked about the introduction to Smooth Dev Saturday, and basically everything we'll be talking about, from core development principles to DevOps, to where we have two-way calls to get advices from industry professionals. And of course, I'll love your feedback on how to make this better, of course. So let's get started for today. Today we'll be starting with the software development fundamentals series, where we'll talk about dev fundamentals, the core concept that have to do with you being a developer, regardless of the programming language you're writing. And of course, I will just dive right in, okay? But before I get started, there are some basic things I think you need to know before you get started as a developer. Don't worry, they are not technical stuff. And there are three basic things for me. The first one is you must have a desire to learn. Be ready to always learn and learn and make changes to whatever you've known in the past. And of course, you need to be able to dedicate enough time to be able to grasp the concepts that will be going on in whichever programming language you choose to write, or number of languages you choose to write. Of course, there are people who write more than one language like me. And of course, be tech savvy. Now, tech savvy does not mean you have to be like a pro computer person. What I simply mean is that you must be able to boot up your computer, start programs, type stuff, and of course, close programs and shut the computer down. Basically, that's all you need. And of course, yeah, you should be able to connect to the internet and look for stuff around. So you should basically just be able to operate the computer. That is all that is needed to be tech savvy, in my opinion. Know how to operate the computer. That's all. And of course, you must have the ability to think logically. Think logically in the sense that you're going out, you want to know, should you take the umbrella? Should you take the bus? Should you take uh, the ride hailing service? That is just logical thinking. Be able to think logically through anything. If this does not occur, what do I do next? And be able to analyze stuff. Basically, that is all that is needed. Remember, desire to learn, be tech savvy, and be logical thinking. So, the first concept we'll be treating here is what I'm going to now, and it is software development in general. And the first topic in the series uh, will be application lifecycle management. When you're writing an app, you need to be able to manage it end to end, from when the idea comes to when it's in the hands of the users. And before any application starts, basically, there's a stage called the envisioning stage, where someone has the idea, oh, I want to make an app that does this, I want to make an app that makes people jump up and down. Every single application that is out there started with an idea, or started with a business need, or started with someone thinking, oh, we could do this with an app, we could do this with a service. So that is the envisioning stage, where the idea is brought up and you get to decide, okay, we need to write an app for it, we need to get developers to work on this project, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 to infinity. That is the envisioning stage. And of course, after the envisioning stage, most times it comes from either a customer or a program manager or a development lead, or business needs just occur, or maybe just you slept and you dreamt, I'm like, oh, I want to make this app. Yeah, that's the envisioning stage. And of course, to be able to now get this idea in the hands of the users, it might be the user, might be you, of course. You need to follow some basic principles, and of course, this is liable to change. But in general, there are about 5 6 stages that go about, and of course, this can go one way or iteratively. In what we call the agile development model. I will explain this later on when we get to DevOps concepts and all that. But here we just need to mention the steps and explain them and what they do and what they mean. Okay, so after you gotten the idea to make money, millions of dollars, or maybe just to change the world, of course, you have to gather the requirements. So you want to write, what should we write? Let's say we want to write an app that, a tip calculator, for example. You want to give tips. You want to sell it to restaurants to know, or customers at restaurants to know how much tip they should give to waiters. And that's your idea. You need to get that requirement. So who will use this app? On what devices will it run on? All those kind of things, you need to gather them. You need to know from what stage to what stage does this app go. You need to know who are your target users, which platform will it run on, how will users download it, how will they get updates, all that thing together, all those requirements, everything that your app needs to succeed is what you do in the requirement gathering phase. And that is the first step to any idea being run in the long term. And after that, you need to do application design. Now, design in this sense means you need to now structure it properly after you've gotten the requirements. Now, in this case, someone like a software architect will come and say, okay, you want to write an app for tip calculator. Okay, maybe it communicates with the server backend. That's all up to you, of course. I'm just using this as an example. You need to decide, okay, it needs this to run, it needs that to run. So you'll communicate, so the client app, maybe a mobile phone, a tablet or something on a kiosk, would have to connect to a backend service that connects to a database that connects to 50,000 other services. That will be the work of the architect to actually properly design the flow and the connections between different modules of the application. Now, say for example, some months back, I wrote an application for a client where the guest comes to sign on a kiosk, and then the employee gets an email, they accept, and then it sends a response to the front desk official. That is about 3 parts on the user front. But in essence, it's actually a lot of moving parts. There's email, there's database, there's graph API, there's authentication, there's database, there's image recognition, there is some spice of AI in it. Now, the work of the architect is to actually decide everything that needs to be embedded to make the application, which part of the application interfaces with the users, which part is, abstracted from the users. This all comes in the application design phase. And in this phase also, you get to do sort of a mock-up of what the application might look like wireframes where you draw like concepts of the screens that's supposed to happen if it's something that the user is supposed to touch or interact with physically. The interfaces, just sketches of them, and sometimes these days people go ahead and make like full-blown prototypes using design softwares like Adobe XD, Figma, and the rest. And they actually make you click and see, okay, this, when you click this button, it's supposed to go here, you type this in here, it goes here. All this happens in the application design phase, where you diligently spec out each feature of the application or of the feature you're doing. And this could happen either in bits of the application or as the application as a whole, depending on the kind of development lifecycle you follow in your organization or as a person. So, for example, when you're building a car, this design process might go along just for the door or for the whole car. So the door, the engine, the bonnet, the tires, this can go in bits and pieces for different components of a whole larger structure or as individual components. So as I said, this is where the architect comes in to know, okay, this is supposed to join to this joins to this joins to this. And after this, what comes out of this phase is basically the technical specifications. In the requirements gathering part, the general software specifications come. This app is supposed to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's supposed to be used by 1, 2, 3 people. These are the stakeholders involved and all that. That comes in the requirement gathering phase. And in the application design phase, the functional and technical specifications are the documents that come out of this. So this is what goes on to the developers or the engineers, as we call them, to be able to know exactly what to design. And then this takes us to the next phase, which is the application development. This is the part where you write the code for the solution you're developing. After you've gotten the architecture diagram, you've gotten the technical specifications, what components are supposed to talk to what, it will determine the kind of people that are supposed to work on the solution. Now, this is what I'm explaining is independent of language. And of course, it is in the application development phase where you now decide, okay, what language are you writing this with? .NET, Java, Ruby, JavaScript, Python, assembly language, Fortran. You decide. The application development phase is where you now get to write the code based on the specifications that come out from the application design phase. Okay? Then after that, after you've developed, you move to the process called application testing. Now, sometimes here, developers get to test their code, of course, because you need to make sure your code runs before you push to whoever is testing it, or else there'll be trouble. But in the application testing as a stage, what happens there is the QA testers or the users get to actually run the application to know if it fits into just a moment, if it fits into their requirements. If it does not fit into it, you iterate back, you go back to design, and then you iterate over again. Okay, so to just know if all that fits. Okay, I'm not sure how I'm doing this. Erase or ink on slide. Yep. Okay, so that is the application testing phase. Now, this could be QA testers in the organization. Majorly, what we advise basically is let the people who are supposed to use the application actually test, or the product owners test it. And then after the testing phase, what happens is deploy. If all requirements have been met, well, maybe not all, but to at least a percentage of satisfaction. Say if there's a 70% or 80% or 90% satisfaction, it could go live. Then you deploy, and then after deployment, which is actually very important in any software development lifecycle, is that you must be able to maintain the application. Now, maintenance in this phase means you are able to get telemetry from the application user to know how the application is performing in production or in the hands of the users. You're able to get that feedback and incorporate it in your next requirement gathering phase. So you're able to implement any feedback, any bugs that you receive from this stage now goes into the requirement gathering phase again. Then you iterate over it, and then you go on and on and on and on and on, and then this process goes over and over and over again. Maybe it just happens once in your case, no problem. Maybe it happens iteratively, maybe every week, every 2 weeks, every 2 months, no problem at all. It all depends on you and the application you're writing. Now, you'll see everything I've explained here. I didn't mention that you're supposed to write this in one language or particular order. It just means these are the basic things that you need to know when managing the lifecycle of an application. Remember, first, envisioning, where you get the idea for the application. Requirement gathering, where you decide the stakeholders and everybody that's supposed to be involved in developing the application and using the application. And of course, designing the application, where the architect comes in to be able to plan out every single component that's supposed to make the application function properly. And then the application development phase, where you get to write the code to make the application work. And of course, application testing, where you diligently find bugs, or maybe not, but you need to make sure that the application conforms to the specifications that are set out in both the requirement gathering and the application design phase. And of course, you deploy the application to the hands of the users, and then you maintain, you get telemetry, you fix bugs, and you do all sort of things there. So basically, this is the general concept of the application lifecycle management. And of course, every developer needs to know this. Either you're writing as an independent developer or you're part of a larger team of developers, you need to understand these basic concepts as a developer. And of course, that's it for this week. Tracing software development in general, application lifecycle management. So I need to intimate you with what we'll be dealing with next week. Next week, we'll be talking about the core programming concepts. I will talk about algorithms and data structures, decision making, repetitions, and all sort of things. You don't want to miss next week. Trust me. Next episode. So, thanks for watching once again. Be sure to follow me on any of your favorite channel, and of course I write a blog post about this episode once the production once the video goes live on YouTube as something you can watch after the live stream. And I will be sure to write a blog post and post it on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook for you to be able to recap and watch the video once you're ready. Follow me on any of these channels that is favorite to you, and of course, have a blessed weekend. I'm out.